Now let's begin.
3, 2, 1.
Yo, it's your boy Fro Thizzle, and today I'm going to be talking about the 2004 Denzel flick, Man on Fire, directed by the late great Tony Scott. Ain't nothing to it but to do it. Here we follow John Creasy, played by Denzel. He's a former CIA operative who accepts a bodyguard position from a super rich but shady businessman, played by Mark Anthony. Creasy's job is to look after the daughter of the businessman, whose name is Lupita, played by Dakota Fanning. And from what I remember, the main reason why Mark Anthony hires Denzel is because there's a bunch of kidnappings going on in Mexico City. Around the end of the second act, Lupita does indeed get kidnapped, and Creasy goes on a hell-bent journey to get Lupita back. As Creasy finds out what's going on behind the scenes and who's involved with the kidnapping, the movie gets crazier. He goes from a tortured soul drowning in his drunken sorrows to protecting Lupita and becoming a fatherly figure, or a big brother if you will, to transforming into a calculated, cold-blooded assassin. And this is a big reason why I think personally this is a top 5 Denzel performance. I think he shines with all 3 directions that his character goes through. He goes from the tortured soul to the caretaker to the hell-bent assassin. I really enjoyed Dakota Fanning's performance. I think it's one of my favorite child performances ever. Love the banter and the overall relationship between Creasy and Lupita. I always thought that their scenes together felt very natural. And after finding out some trivia, turns out a handful of lines were improvised between the two. I always thought that Mark Anthony was just okay as the father, Samuel Ramos. He does a fine enough job, but I also feel like anybody could have been casted in this role. I do like Radha Mitchell as an actress, and I think she does a decent job as Lupita's mother. I don't really have a problem with her performance, especially when she starts finding out that her husband is pretty much a scumbag. Christopher Walken has one of my favorite performances. I do wish that he had more screen time. He only has about 3 or 4 scenes. I remember him running a security firm in this movie, but I also remember him being a really good buddy to John Creasy in his film, being by his side during the tough times, and Walken and Denzel have a great chemistry as well. I remember Mickey Rourke playing the father's lawyer, and I'm a fan of Mickey Rourke as an actor as well. But I also feel like he wasn't given too much to do. I feel like his role could have been a bit bigger. He is revealed to be another scumbag near the end of the film, but I digress. Some of my favorite moments are Creasy teaching Lupita how to swim, not only having that bond as a bodyguard, but also being that fatherly figure when Samuel Ramos isn't there, being a shady scumbag. When Creasy goes on his rampage to get Lupita back, the movie turns very violent and gritty. One scene has Creasy with one of the guys working for the kidnappers. They're in the car. Creasy has the guy's hands duct taped to the steering wheel, and Denzel starts cutting off each finger. I always love the use of Oya Komova in the background of the scene too.
Okay.
Another one that's a very grimy and gross thought, but it's a pretty cool scene, is when Creasy has the mayor, I believe, tied to the hood of a car, and he reveals that he put a bomb up the mayor's rectum, up his ass. Pause. Since there's a countdown on the watch, it's a pretty intense scene, but it also has one of my favorite little lines in the movie. The mayor's like, "Can I please have one more wish?" And Denzel's like, "I wish you had more time." Also, one of my favorite Denzel little acting moments where he's hitting the guy in the head with a piece of paper. He's like, "You understand what I'm talking about, don't you? Okay, all right, you understand what I'm saying?" No, like it's hard to explain, but I love that moment. Now, before I talk about the ending, spoilers. This movie came out in 2004, but still, if you're interested in this movie and you haven't seen it, spoilers. When I was young and I first saw this film, I admittedly didn't love the ending. Since having a huge bias with Denzel and him being my favorite actor, ever since I was a kid, I wanted Creasy to live at the end of the movie. Creasy makes a deal with the kidnappers to trade his life for Lupita. So he gets Lupita back to the mother, goes with the kidnappers, and he dies in the car on the way to him getting killed anyway. I am aware that in the book, Creasy lives and Lupita dies, and after finding that out, I will admit that I feel the movie did it better. As much as I love Denzel and Creasy's character, I felt it added more emotional weight for Creasy to trade his life. So it is a very sad and hard to watch ending for my personal viewing, but I appreciate it more as I got older. If there's any other nitpicks that I have besides the ending, maybe some of the traditional Tony Scott camera work. Love Tony Scott as a director, but sometimes when he does those rapid, close-up, quick, in and out kind of shots, it does take me out of the movie just a bit. But at the same time, I do feel a little half and half. I do feel that it does work for Man on Fire. Whenever I say this, I mean it. This is one of my favorite films, and I do think this is a top 5 Denzel performance, mainly because he's playing 3 different guys in one character: the tortured soul, the assassin, and the caretaker. And I think he's fantastic in all 3 roles. This has my favorite Dakota Fanning performance, one of my favorite performances from a child actor, like I said. Despite the short screen time, Christopher Walken is still a delight to see. I enjoy the action scenes when they pop up. I think this film has a handful of quotables. I almost forgot Denzel even gets to flex a little bit of Spanish in this film when he's talking to the sister, the nun. I always like that scene too. I'm probably going to butcher my favorite line in the movie, but Creasy says something to the lines of, "Forgiveness is between them and God. It's my job to arrange the meeting." I always thought that was one of the most badass lines I've ever seen in a movie. But overall, I'm going to give Man on Fire, the 2004 flick, a 10 out of 10. For those wondering, I have not seen a Scott Glenn original Man on Fire flick. I am aware this is a remake, but I'll get to it one day. It is on my watch list. In the meantime, between time, it's been your boy Fro Thizzle. Until next time, Man on Fire.
Do you ever see the hand of God in what you do?
No, not for a long time.
The Bible says, be not overcome of evil, but overcome evil with good.
Romanos capítulo 12, versículo 21. I'm the sheep that God lost my dream.